How can we forgive those who have hurt us? Whether it's an unfaithful spouse, a parent who has let you down as a child, or a friend who has revealed your secrets, we all have to face the issue of forgiveness. Do we really have to forgive, and if so, how? Now that you've been wronged and the initial wave of emotion has passed, you face a new challenge. Will you forgive this person? By forgiving, you give up your grievances and your resentment to allow you to heal. Forgiveness has very concrete effects. Some research has shown that forgiving reduces anxiety, depression, and decreases the death rate. While there are only benefits of forgiving others, in practice, forgiveness can sometimes seem impossible. For this, we need to better understand what forgiveness is. What forgiveness is not to learn to forgive, we must already know what it is not to forgive. Most people have at least a few misconceptions about forgiveness in mind. Here are 7 things that forgiving doesn't mean. Forgiveness does not mean that you condone this person's actions. Forgiveness does not mean that you have to tell that person that you forgive them. Forgiveness does not mean that you have nothing to feel when you think back on this event. Forgiveness does not mean that there is nothing left to resolve in your relationship, and that everything is perfect now. Forgiveness does not mean you have to forget that this incident happened. Forgiveness does not mean that you have to keep that person in your life. And forgiving is not something you have to do for the other person, or just because you are asked to. When you forgive, you accept the reality of what happened and find a way to live in peace with it. It's a gradual process, and you don't have to keep in touch with the person you forgive. Forgiveness is not something you do for the person who wronged you. It's something you do for yourself only. You don't let this event ruin your life. So if forgiving is something you do for yourself and it helps you heal, why is it so difficult? Simply because forgiving requires effort, the will to forgive. Sometimes you don't have this strength because the wound is too deep, or the other person has abused the situation too much or has no regrets. So, there is no point in trying to forgive someone without having identified, felt, expressed and released your anger and pain. How to succeed in forgiving? When you have made the decision to forgive, it is necessary to go through several stages. Here are the 10 steps to successfully forgive. 1. Let go of your resentment. You can never move on as long as you keep this hatred of the other person inside you. You will keep thinking about it and it will poison your life and your relationships. Accept the fact that it is impossible to change the past. But allow yourself to honestly express how you feel. Think back to this event and then say alone and aloud, I'm angry because betrayed my trust and I accept that it happened. Or, I accept that it happened and how it made me feel. Accept what the other person has done and acknowledge that you have no control over it. But you can control how you react to this situation. Of course, this will not happen overnight. Despite everything, you must make it a priority, and let go of your resentment. Do cardiac coherence or stick figure exercise to get rid of those negative emotions. If necessary, seek help from a therapist if this is not enough. Take a step back from the situation as you progress toward forgiveness. Step back and think objectively about the pain you have felt. Is it possible to forgive such an act, or is it something you won't be thinking about in a month? Ask yourself, will I still think about it in 6 months, a year? Only you can decide. Remember your moral and personal beliefs when you look back on it. Because it will allow you to know how to manage your relationship with this person. If infidelity is a very serious act for you, then cutting ties with that person will be necessary to forgive, which does not mean forgetting. Conversely, if you think that it is an understandable act and that you can go beyond it, then forgive while keeping the links with this same person. 3. Think back on the positive in the relationship. When a person hurts us, we quickly portray him as a heartless monster. But aren't there times when you had fun or intelligent conversations? Moments when you have been of mutual service? Where were you just happy or satisfied to know that he or she was part of your life? List all of the little things you enjoyed about that person. Write down all of his qualities, all the positive things he or she has done for you one day. Go from the most trivial to the most important things for you. Perhaps you will discover that his good deeds go beyond those acts that hurt you. 4. Do not hesitate to communicate your feelings to others. Often it is helpful not to keep negative feelings to yourself. If you are hurt and angry about what has happened, then talking to someone outside of the situation can help you gain perspective. Maybe see things differently. Don't underestimate the advice and help others can give you about the situations you are experiencing. Of course, speak of your problems only to those who listen, who will not judge or criticize you. For this, discuss it only with a trusted friend or family member whose opinion you value. 5. Give yourself time. One very important aspect of being able to forgive is to allow yourself time to think. If someone has wronged you, whether someone close to you or an acquaintance, it is necessary to let the situation settle down a bit. This will allow you not to act in the heat of the moment, and do something you regret. Also, you may understand the motivations this person had when he said these hurtful words to you. Of course, if you live with this person who hurt you, it may be time to find another place to go, time to take a step back. If you don't live together, pause your relationship and only reconnect when you feel ready to do it. 6. Talk to the person concerned. When you feel ready to do it, even if it is not an obligation, express the emotions that the other made you feel through their actions. Be as honest as possible, and talk about the pain it has caused you. Don't let emotions explode violently, even if you think it is justified. Take deep breaths between each sentence, trying to be as reasonable as possible. Imagine how your words would come out of the other person's mouth. If necessary, write them in advance and practice in front of a mirror to say exactly what you want without hurting the other in return. Look the person in the eye and speak slowly, using the Gordon method message to stay objective. Use phrases like, "I felt hurt when you spread rumors about me because I don't think I did anything to deserve it." Or, "I felt hurt when you cheated on me, because I have always been loyal and dedicated in our relationship and thought you would do the same." Use the phrase, "I felt when blank, because blank," to express your feelings, rather than talking about the negative things he or she did. 7. Hear the other side of the story. If you've had the courage to share your feelings with the other person, then listen to what they have to say. Listen to it actively, without interrupting it, to discover its side of the story. Feel free to rephrase and clarify what the other person is telling you. For example, "So what you said is that." Do not be defensive or offensive. Take deep breaths and step back, if you feel anger rising from what is said. While empathy is the last thing you want to show when you feel hurt, it can help. Putting yourself in the other person's shoes can help you understand what the other person is feeling. In return, you will find the strength to no longer be frustrated and angry with her. 8. Start moving forward. When trust has been broken or seriously damaged, it is normal to take time before accepting this person again in your life. Do not feel you have to reinstate it immediately, if you are not ready to do so. It's better to cut ties permanently if you don't imagine for a moment to restore your relationship. Rebuilding a relationship takes time. We must give the other the opportunity to prove that he or she is capable of doing better. If you used to walk together several times a week, reduce the frequency. If the relationship was more intimate, then start over from the beginning, as if you had just met this person. It is only by respecting your rhythm that you can restore your relationship, and allow yourself to forgive. 9. Leave the past to the past. Avoid continually rehashing what has happened as you seek to move forward. Continuing to think about it will keep you from trusting this person, and your relationship will become bitter. The important thing is not to forgive and forget, but rather to forgive and learn from this experience. When your spouse has cheated on you and you have chosen to forgive him, understand that you can now recognize the signs of a possible deception, or that you have a better idea of the causes of infidelity and do not let it happen anymore. Reproduce. Every situation that occurs in your life is an opportunity to learn, and to make your relationship, or future relationships, stronger and better. If you notice that you are rehashing the past, then focus on the present moment. Take a deep breath and focus on what's around you. The smell in the room, the conversation with your friend, the touch of your clothes on your skin, etc. 10. Sometimes turning the page means cutting links. Be honest with yourself, admit that you cannot forgive him if you are not. Unfortunately, sometimes we think we can forgive, but we have to realize that it is impossible when you spend time with him or her. Continuing to cultivate a platonic or romantic relationship when you are unable to forgive is not good for you. As well as staying friends with your ex-partner is often an excuse for not ending the relationship. Yet bitterness and resentment will resurface every time you see this other person, and it will gradually destroy you. As soon as you realize that forgiveness is not possible for you, then cut the ties, then get rid of your resentment. Point number 1. The final word: remember to love yourself. Because forgiving and being able to turn the page means loving yourself and forgiving yourself. Often we are harder on ourselves than on others. You may believe that you are not worthy of being loved, or that you have been too difficult with the other. This is not the case. Realize that you did everything you could at the time, and accept the events that happened. Learn to relax and love yourself, think back to what you have managed to do until today and you will see that what happened is just an event in your life, not your whole life. You still have great things to discover. If you liked this video, don't hesitate to share it with your friends and family. Smiley face.